So let's move on to some of the other categories among the Oscar nominations that came out this week. We have Best Actor. I don't know if you guys saw Pain and Glory, but Antonio Banderas was nominated for that. There was Leo DiCaprio for Once Upon a Time, Adam Driver for Marriage Story, Joaquin Phoenix for Joker, Joker for Joaquin Phoenix, and then Jonathan Pryce in The Two Popes. What do you guys think? Just quick reaction.
So for me, the most person who's likely going to win is Joaquin Phoenix. I mean, to be honest, I feel like he carried the movie. Like Joker, to me, it's kind of like an all right story. But I feel like the way Joaquin Phoenix did it, all the scenes was really, really, yes.
Such a strong performance. I love character actors. I would consider Joaquin Phoenix a character actor now. Side note, when you said like Joaquin Phoenix almost, I was like, it is confusing because it's like Joaquin Phoenix for Joker, not like Joaquin Phoenix for Hooker.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he's so good.
Yeah. I would want Adam Driver to win, but I just, again, Joker.
Two totally different performances, because Adam Driver at times was very understated, but then also like very emotional and explosive in some scenes, whereas Joker, it was different, or well, maybe kind of similar because it was a slow build as well until like the descent into madness, whereas Adam Driver was more like a descent into also kind of sadness instead of
Interesting.
madness.
That is so true.
Sad versus mad.
Sad versus mad.
That's the true fight in this category.
Yeah, I think I definitely agree that Joaquin Phoenix made the Joker film. The key thing that makes Joker a standout is the performance of Joaquin Phoenix. There's like no competition in that movie, and he's like literally in every scene. I do believe that that's a reason why it's not necessarily the best picture of the year, but his performance absolutely was the best performance of the year, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think it takes a lot to sacrifice your body and your mental health to immerse yourself in a role like that. And I appreciate that kind of performance.
So let's move on to the Best Actress. We have Cynthia Erivo for Harriet, Scarlett Johansson in Marriage Story, Saoirse Ronan in Little Women, Charlize Theron in Bombshell, and Renee Zellweger in Judy. I just want to say that I gotta give my support to the Nigerian Cynthia Erivo here.
Yes, queen.
For Harriet. So even though I haven't seen Harriet, but still, I just gotta throw that out there. What do you guys
know
think?
what? She has my vote.
Yeah,
I would vote for her, and I would vote for her.
I would vote for her. Although the only movie I saw was out of this whole thing was Marriage Story. Scarlett Johansson, I've seen her do better in other movies. So
I was gonna say her performance was good. I would say hers was definitely more on the understated side for Marriage Story, and it's easily eclipsed by Adam Driver's performance.
Yeah.
So yeah, those are my thoughts on her.
Okay, so if we move on, so Best Actor in a Supporting Role, we have Tom Hanks for Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood, Anthony Hopkins for Two Popes, Al Pacino for The Irishman, Joe Pesci for The Irishman, and Brad Pitt for Once Upon a Time. It's interesting that two movies, or the two actors from the same movie got nominated for this category. But what do you guys think about the whole thing? Any interesting anticipations for who's gonna win?
I think someone from The Irishman might take it. I don't know who. They were both very good. Al Pacino definitely raised the tension in that movie with his portrayal of Jimmy Hoffa. And Joe Pesci came back with a vengeance in this movie with his own performance.
I think that for this category, Joe Pesci, or at least between those two actors in that movie, Joe Pesci's performance to me was much better. I really appreciated his like quiet intimidation that he had throughout the whole film. Whereas with Al Pacino, I was kind of hoping that he would kind of have a return to his initial more subtle ways of acting, whereas now he's kind of just like everything's like loud and crazy and.
What are you talking? I feel like Al Pacino always yells. Always.
Yeah, he always yells now, which is kind of like
he's like
a distraction.
Always.
But if you watch the Godfather movies, he's not yelling in those. So I feel
I
like
was thinking about Scarface.
well, okay, sure, but yeah, but that character was a yelling character. But that's what I'm talking about. I think it was just more of Al Pacino being Al Pacino, to be honest.
Yeah. Whereas Joe Pesci was not Joe Pesci in that role.
I don't think so at all. Yeah, he was like, it's interesting how like such a small man can be so intimidating. So
Yeah. I mean, okay. And then also, did you have something else for?
No.
I was gonna say, for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Brad Pitt. I don't know if he was really compelling in that role. He was a very like quiet character. I didn't really get much from that performance from him. I think the standout in that film was Leonardo DiCaprio, as was meant to be.
So then, Best Actress in a Supporting Role, we have Kathy Bates in Richard Jewell, Laura Dern in Marriage Story, Scarlett Johansson in Jojo Rabbit, Florence Pugh in Little Women, and Margot Robbie in Bombshell. I will say that Scarlett Johansson in Jojo Rabbit really was impressive to me. I really appreciated her performance. It was great watching this loving mother, and there's a sequence where she's like playing around with the kid and pretends to be his estranged dad, like his dad who's like often in war. That's what he's thinking. And just that whole sequence just like really made my heart feel good.
So big ups to her for being nominated in 2 different categories for 2 different movies.
Right.
I think that's cool. No one else is nominated in 2 different categories, right?
I don't believe so.
I have to put a word in for Laura Dern.
I agree.
She was the divorce lawyer in Marriage Story, and the way she portrayed the character was really cool. She did a good job of making it seem like a cross between like a PR firm manager or something and divorce lawyer, which was like very reflective of how Los Angeles is. I just think she did a good job in that character, because we all kind of just know her for Jurassic Park, but she really did a good job in Marriage Story.
Yeah, I think that one of her lines, which I think is one of the best lines in the story, when she talks about how like a man can have a flaw or be perfect, but women can't. I love that line. Like, that's one of my favorite lines I've heard for this whole year in terms of story.
Yeah, the way she delivered it had a lot of weight. You could tell that she had been through some shit.
Yeah, exactly. So, and also interesting perspective on society. So,
yeah. And then quickly, we have Best Animated Feature Film with How to Train Your Dragon, The Hidden World, I Lost My Body, Klaus, Missing Link, and Toy Story 4.
What do you guys think? Maybe Toy Story 4.
Yeah.
Disney likes to sweep things. I feel.
Yeah.
I heard Klaus. I didn't get to see it, but Klaus on Netflix was really good. Like, it had really unique animation and good voice actor performances in it by Jason Schwartzman and J.K. Simmons.
Cool. And then we can talk about cinematography with The Irishman, Joker, Lighthouse, 1917, and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. What did you think about the cinematography in Lighthouse, Crystal?
I thought it was really cool. Of course, it was in black and white throughout, just to kind of show the dreariness of that job of taking care of a lone lighthouse. And also, they had like a very narrow aspect ratio, which lent to just the crampedness and, being stuck and getting cabin fever with one other person. It felt very claustrophobic, and that lent to the whole like dreariness throughout the entire film. And it came out to like a very unsettling ending, and the cinematography definitely built that up.
I would say that I really think that in 1917, Roger Deakins did a great job of the cinematography in that film. Just like the beautiful shots, like almost every single shot was just like,
it was striking.
It was striking.
To me, it was like the whole movie was art.
Yes. I love, again, the death scene with my God, I don't know the character's name.
But with Blake.
Yeah, Blake. I love that scene where it's like it shows the fire in the background and like the brimstone.
Spoilers, huge spoilers. just saying.
It's all good. But so no, that's a great scene. No, that's a great scene. I think everyone has like their own favorite scene that they think about from that film because it has so many striking
I think
shots.
the ending scene to me was brilliant, just because it brought it back like to the beginning.
Right. The way that it ended is the same way that it began. And it's just like that circular.
The bookends, yeah. And Scott, you said before that it is an immersive film. That's a word people have been throwing out a lot about this film. It's immersive. You want to feel like you're part of it, or you don't exactly want to, but you feel like you're part of it, and that adds to the anxiety of the whole thing, because trench warfare is also very cramped. It just reminds me that warfare was terrible. It was terrible. It's like the worst kind.
Seriously, and this might be a little bit of a tangent, but just like if you understand like or have looked into the history of World War One, and just the way that they threw young men to war to literally just die.
It's terrible.
And
trench warfare is not covert. You're just waiting to run out there and die.
Seriously, and like they portray that in such a good way, where you have the elderly generals or commanders in these positions, and some of them are just horrible. Like there's this guy who's like this fat general in a car, and he's commanding the soldiers to like move this tree out of the road, and he's just berating them and criticizing them while he's in his position of comfort. And that's the literal portrayal of warfare, especially in the 1900s, where they would just send their young men out there to die while they're sitting in their comfort, and it's frustrating to me. but like
that is a tangent.
Yeah, that's a little bit of a tangent. But
it's also reflective of the times. I think maybe the Academy voters might think of that too.
Yeah. So, but anyway, great movie.
Yeah, I mean, I think the immersion added to like how the cinematography was sort of like taken in, and because it's so immersive, it makes it that much more beautiful, at least to me.
Yes.
Yeah.
For sure.
Joker was nice, but definitely not as great as 1917 when it comes to cinematography.
Joker was nice.
Yeah. And then one last one that I want to talk about. I don't know if any of you guys want to talk about any of the other categories, but I want to just quickly go over Best Director.
Perfect.
There's Martin Scorsese for The Irishman, Todd Phillips for Joker, Sam Mendes for 1917, Quentin Tarantino for Once Upon a Time, and Bong Joon-ho for Parasite. I will say that I feel like Taika Waititi should have been nominated for Jojo Rabbit just because of how he was able to skillfully make that movie. I would have probably put him in here before at least one or two of these movies.
That would have been a really good, I think, category then, because these are all director titans now, I would consider them, and Taika Waititi is definitely a force to be reckoned with. I think, they're all great directors. I really want to give a shout out to Bong Joon-ho. I would love him to get the Oscar for directing. He's done good work. I really liked Snowpiercer too by him. That was a great film, and it's very underrated, I think. Not a lot of people have seen it.
For sure.
And I really appreciate that Parasite is giving him more recognition, because I want to see more projects by him. And who knows? I think he might have a chance. I would really love to see him get an Oscar.
I think he does have a chance. If you look at the movies on here, I mean, Martin Scorsese, honestly, like, this was a good movie and I enjoyed watching it, but I wouldn't say it's the best directing.
I say the same thing about Martin Scorsese in all his films. I think every film I've seen, even The Wolf of Wall Street, you can kind of trim the fat of them a little. For some of them, they all go a little long.
Are very like self-indulgent. It's like, let's move on.
He's great.
Yeah,
but you could always trim the fat with him, I think.
So yeah, were there any other categories or
Writing.
What do you what's the list for writing?
So for adapted screenplay, we got Irishman. The name of the person is Steve Zalian. So we got that for Irishman, and then for oh my God, I lost it at the place. I think the next one, I mean, obviously Joker's in there. I think that's Todd Phillips.
And
Jojo Rabbit, Taika Waititi, Two Popes, Anthony McLaren.
Well, are you looking at so there's the writing for adapted screenplay and writing for original screenplay?
Both. We
Okay.
should look at both.
So for the adapted screenplay, the list is Irishman, Steven Zalian, Jojo Rabbit, Taika Waititi, Joker with Todd Phillips, Little Women, and then Two Popes. So what do you think for Chuku? What do you think about the adapted screenplay and then the original screenplay?
Well, I'm just gonna have to put Joker, because I think like
Joker for the adapted screenplay.
Yeah, because even then, I mean, although we agree that it's more of a character actor and then the performances did well, at the same time, story, or at least the writing in terms of Joker's character was well spot on for what they're trying to go for. So
Yeah, it's very different. At the end of the day, Joker is based on a comic book character, and there are a lot of Easter eggs that tie back to the original Batman comics and all that. But this is a very dark universe that Joker is set in. There's kind of a lot of controversial and dramatic things that are happening in the film that are kind of tough to digest, but they do it well in the Joker, and I think that it's a contender for sure. I agree with you. For original screenplay, I didn't know that Knives Out is nominated, but I like it a lot. I think it's a really fun idea and script and everything. I really enjoyed Knives Out. It was another one that I talked about for like favorite films of the year. But it's also in a category against some really other incredible stories. Parasite again. I just don't know who's gonna get it.
Yeah, I agree. I would agree with you with Knives Out. That was definitely a very well written movie, I believe. I think that I had a lot of fun watching it, and I imagine that the story behind it, the intricacies of all of that, was very well developed, and it was great. So yeah, that was hopefully we very soon we will have the winners of these nominations, so we will see when the time comes.
Then we will dissect that too after
Yeah.
February 9th, the Oscars.
Yep.
my birthday. No,
Sounds good. So thank you. So let's move on to some of the other categories among the best among the Oscar nominations that came out this week. We have Best Actor. I don't know if you guys saw Pain and Glory, but Antonio Banderas was nominated for that. There was